Hello and welcome to the next tutorial. Today we're going to be making this guy. Now both of these were made with the same exact filament, and I'll have a link for that filament in the video description below. But obviously the fuzzy one is not an accident. That's a feature that you cannot actually find on Tinkercad, but will find in the slicer software. And if you stay towards the end, I will show you how to find it in at least 3 different slicer softwares. So let's get started. We're going to go to the shapes library, and then we're going to select shape generators, and we're going to choose the hyperboloid. We're going to drag this over here, and these are the dimensions you want to change it to. This is going to be 56, and the outer radius is going to be 4, and the inner radius is going to be 2. The sides we're going to max out to 60. Why? Because I like it when it's super smooth. Now this might slow down your computer because we're going to be maximizing the size on everything. So that's something to consider if you're finding out that your computer is very, very laggy. All right, well, if you notice it doesn't actually look like the leg, that's because we have to like chop this off right around here. To do that, we're going to go to the basic shape library, and then we're going to bring the whole cube, the cube that's whole, and we're going to make this a height of 16. So 16, enter. We're going to align these two, or maybe just drag it over here. Make sure we're getting all of it. Let's zoom in here. Yeah, we've got all of it. So we're going to group, Control G, or you can press that button right there. And there we go. We have our leg. We have done the first step in making our Grinch. I'm going to click the letter D to make it go all the way down. Okay, so there's that. Congratulations. Now we're going to make the foot. Now the foot is going to consist of a sphere. So we're going to go with this one right here. Drag it over. All these shapes, I'm just going to recommend to change the colors because it just makes it that much cooler. And there it is. It's green. And I like to maximize the steps. That's that right there. And now these are the different dimensions. First one is going to be a height of 7. Then it's going to be 11. This way, that's the depth, and this is the width. Depth and width. The width is going to be 21. Okay. Now, obviously, this does not look like that. There's a little bit of a difference here. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate downward. So the one that's going across this way, I'm going to click on that and then make that go forward 10 degrees. There you go. We're also going to rotate this to 45 when we're looking up. So 45. Now it's starting to look more like that. See, 45. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move this down. Let's see how many we're going to move it down. Right about there. Let's just say 4. We're going to move this down -4 right there. All right. Now, essentially what we're going to do is we're going to cut this bottom part off so it looks like it's flat when we get there. However, what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this one. I'm going to hit the Shift button and shrink it down so it looks like a toe. Now, I don't have the exact dimensions for this, but you need to make sure that it is above the line, obviously, because we want the toes to be visible, but not all the way above. Otherwise, it'll be hard to print this. Now, one thing that's very important to remember is that you want this without any, well, I don't like adding supports to my designs. So whenever I design something, I think of what is going to give me my design without any supports. This is one of them. That if it's cut off right here, no problem. In fact, I think this might be done. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. So I have a toe. I'm going to just copy and paste that. There's another one, and this one's going to look weird, but I'm going to just drag it back. All right, so there we go. That's all I did. Nothing really changed. But now I'm going to bring a cube. Oops, let me just move it over here. And I'll just move it -20. -20. Now notice I clicked on that center and then I put -20. Now it'll be the exact measurement and height I need to get rid of it at the bottom. Okay, that's fine. All right, so now I'm going to group the foot and the toes, Control G. And then I'm going to check it to make sure it looks like what I intended it to look like. Okay, not bad. Toes look a little long, but here's the thing about the Grinch. Oh. This is not a beast that's beautiful. It's a little bit weird and a little bit out there. So if you want it to be longer toes or shorter toes, it doesn't have to be perfect because it's the Grinch. He's supposed to look a little bit weird. And there is the right leg, our right, not his. And we're going to duplicate this. Control D or Command D. Now I'm going to click the letter M or mirror button. And I want it to go in this direction. So I'm going to click that arrow and I'm going to shift it over here. I'm hitting shift and dragging it with the mouse. There we go. We have now finished with the legs. Now we're going to work with the upper body, or I'm sorry, let's go with the belly. Now here's the thing about the belly. Usually I would use one of these and then increase the steps. However, as you can see in the video, the belly is actually very smooth. Whereas this, there are little faces that make up this sphere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for high res sphere, and it's yellow. Now let's say you don't want to spell that. You can just type in the word sphere in your search, and the yellow one is the one you're looking for. And this one is high res sphere 2. So now let's look at the difference between the two. Now mind you, this one's made out of triangles and this is made out of squares, but I haven't increased the resolution yet. Do you see how it's much smaller? That's going to be a smoother finish when you're done. But again, it's going to increase the amount of triangles or vectors you have inside of your design. And that is going to change the speed of your computer. And it's also based on your, internet connection. So let's go ahead and focus on the dimensions for this particular, belly. So I'm going to change the color, obviously, green. And let's increase the height to 31. Now the bottom part is going to be 27. So 27 by 27. Now, how high up do I move it? 33 millimeters. And you can see down here, 33 is going to show up. So let's go ahead and drag it. And I don't want to go all the way to 33 just by dragging it. So I'm just going to click on it and hit 33 and enter. All right. Now I'm going to drag this over here. And we are now done with the belly. Now, how far is it? Let's look at it. This should be up a little. Whoa. That's the thing about moving it when you're looking at it from this perspective. I'm going to use the arrow keys and I want it to be a little bit forward. Okay, we're good there. And let's move it back. I'm going to hit shift and the arrow keys. Okay, so now we want the torso. Now the torso is a little bit different. So this is actually where the hard part of making the Grinch happens. We're going to go to the shapes library. We're going to go to shape generators and we're going to get another hyperboloid. In fact, we're using the hyperboloid a lot for this one. So here are the measurements. You ready? Yay. Okay, let's make it ready. We're going to keep the height at 20. Although it doesn't look like it. Let me make sure that's correct. I'm going to duplicate this one. Shift. You see the arms there? Let me undo that. Yeah, that does not look like 20. I think I may have made a typo. Get rid of that arm and that arm. And this one, the height, 39. Yeah, I did make a typo. So we're going to make this 39. That looks a lot better. Ooh, automatically. Let's get rid of that up here. It's a distraction at this point. So the outer radius is going to stay at 10. The inner radius is going to stay at 5. And the sides, we're going to make that 60. because we want it to be smooth. Okay. Any second now. Okay, there. Now it's smooth. Now, to make the torso not come out again, we already use, we're gonna make a hole, but it's gonna be a different one. We're actually gonna use something called an extrusion. Let's go back and to the shapes library. We want to go to shape generators, and we're gonna get the one that's on the top right called the extrusion. Now the extrusion, if you change it, it changes up there. You see how that happened? Yeah. So this is the way we want to change this one. This center one is going to go straight down, and you want it to go just below these two on that side right there. So just below, straight down. Now, these we're going to stretch out until the bottom one is a couple of, like a block and a little bit past or above this one right here. So I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Now, because this is not going to be perfectly exact the way I have it, yours is going to be a little bit different, which means that when you're manipulating this, it's going to be a little bit different. You may have to do something different on your part in order to make it look like my Grinch. Okay, so I'm gonna make this into a hole. Now I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees this way. I'm sorry, 90 degrees that way. And then 90 degrees in this direction right there. Okay. Now this is going to go over here, but let me make sure it's straight down. But there is a certain measurement that we're going to need for this to work. Okay. So I believe, oh man, what was the number for this one? Change this. We're going to just move that up. But if you just keep on dragging with the mouse, you're not going to have enough space. So we're going to put this at 106. Yeah, that looks like it. And I'm not sure this goes all the way across. So let's just make this, instead of 20, let's just make it 30. There. Now what we're going to do is, I want you to pay attention to this part right here, because yours is going to be slightly different. What you want is for it to be a gentle curve. You see that? Now back here, doesn't matter as much. You want the gentle curve to be here. Now, for mine, it worked out fine. It's leaning back. I'm not sure how much I want it to lean back though. However, look, I want you to see this. I'm going to tilt it 1 degree forward. Oh, I can't even see the degrees. There you go. Right there, forward. Oh, okay. Look what happens here. That right there, it cuts it off essentially, and I don't really want that. So I'm going to have to Control Z, move back, and then Control Z again, because I think I moved it earlier when I wasn't paying attention. So I'm going to group this. Actually, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to align it, click the letter L, and then center, and no, I don't want it centered there. Okay, now I'm going to group this by selecting both and then hitting Control G. So here's what I'm thinking right now. I think I want this to be a little bit higher, because that's where the arms are going to go. So I wonder if I can undo this. Yeah, I could. So I'm going to select this. Now with my arrow key, I'm going to move it up. I'm hitting, on my computer, it's Control, and then the arrow key on my keyboard up. Okay, if I go a little bit higher, too much. I don't want there to be anything there. Okay. Yeah, maybe too much there. Okay. So now that I got it as high as I can, now I'm going to group these two. Control G. And hopefully it doesn't take as long. Now what I think is happening right now is that I have this Grinch with all of its, high resolution spheres and this new Grinch happening. So I think it's starting to weigh on the system. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the bones. Well, it's not a bone, it's an arm, and forearm and the upper arm. We're going to make them both out of the same exact shape. In fact, Exactly. We're just going to copy and paste. But to make this, I did not use a cylinder. I used, again, the same thing. The hyperbole. What is a hyperboloid? Here. So this needs to be a lot skinnier. The outer radius, let's put that at 4. And this one, let's put that at 2. There shouldn't be that much of a difference. So let's make that 3. And what do we get? Do we get something similar? Let's Control D. Yeah, that's it right there. So the numbers for this one, oops. The numbers for this one are 3 to 60 and the height of 24. Now, as you saw earlier, we need to put something over here, a sphere on both sides, because what happens is when you're putting them together, it looks like an elbow if you do it correctly, and this blends in better if there's a sphere here and here. So very important that it doesn't just stay, cut at the very top, very flat. So we're going to go to the basic shapes. And this one, we're going to use the low res sphere or the regular sphere. We're going to change the color to green. There we go. Now, hopefully I got these down correctly in terms of all the numbers. So we're going to make that 6. And then the width and height are going to be 5.14, 5.14, enter, and 5.14. All right, looks like a little egg. And that's actually what we want here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to duplicate this. So now there's 2. And then I'm going to move this up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click I selected both of them, the letter L. Got that? L. And let's go ahead and I want it to be aligned this way and this way. And then I'm going to click away. Now this one, I want it to be all the way, not at the very top. I just want it to be far enough so that it fills the space, and it doesn't. So let's go ahead and make this. I'm going to hit the shift button. I'm going to hit the shift, and I'm trying to fill it so it becomes like one piece right there. So I moved it 7.6, and I guess I'm going to have to do the same thing here. So I'm going to hit shift, and I'm going to go up to 7.6 right there. I'm going to drag this here, and I'm going to align these two. I'm going to click the letter L, click on the arm, and now I want it to be centered here, and now I'm going to move this one down. Okay, let's focus here. Now, I don't want this part to be sticking out. I want it to be like it's one piece near the end. And when you're printing this, the line is not going to appear, if that's what you're concerned about. All right, so now I'm going to group these two to make the arm. Now, what I told you last time was that we're going to copy and paste this. So actually, let's copy and paste this after we turn it to 45 degrees. And then copy and paste. Actually, I think duplicate would be better. So Control D. Yes, exactly. So the letter M, or mirror tool, we wanted to go straight down. So we clicked on the one pointing up and down, and now we want it to be right there. Let's zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about. We want it to look like it's one circle or one corner of an elbow. Okay. Now I'm going to group these two. Control G. Now I'm going to move it closer to the body, right around there. Move it up, and right about there. Now the fact that it's sticking out like this, not important to me, but I do want it to be sticking out like that. Okay, so now we have this part of the body. We have it down. We don't have that part, and let's move this forward so that it is right at the center. There you go. Now we're going to make the hand. Now the hand, let's look at it right here. This hand right here, if you do it correctly, you will not need any supports when making this Grinch. So the hand's kind of a big deal. If you do it incorrectly, it's going to fall apart. So let's not do that. All right, so let's go ahead and grab another sphere, change the color. I think we need to maximize the size. We do, and that's going to be 24. Now let's change the height to 8.4. 8.4, enter. And then we want the depth, that's this direction going back, 7. And the width is going to be 4.4. So 4.4. All right, that's not bad. Now we're going to rotate this way 20 degrees. All right, we're going to put that, actually, it's going to go lower, but right now let's just go ahead and leave it on the side right there. Okay, we're done with that part of the hand. Now we need the fingers. The fingers. So we're going to start off with a bent pipe. That's in the shapes library. We're going to go to shape generators, and then we're going to go to the bent pipe. This thing is huge compared to what we want, so let's go ahead and change the dimensions. Now I'm going to hit shift. I'm going to hold down the shift button, and I'm going to move this up and down like this, because when I do that, it's going to tell the computer, hey, I want you to keep the ratios the same when I do this. So I'm going to change that to 1.86, enter. And now we have our basic finger. So what we're going to do is we're going to change some of the dimensions over here. We're going to start with the, well, let's just change the colors to begin with. So we want it to be green. We want green. Okay, we're good there. The wall thickness is going to be 10. 10. Now after that, we want the bend angle right here to be 124. So 124, the lead in length is going to be 50. There. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees from here, from the right side. 90. All right. Did that stay down? It did. Okay. And then we're going to rotate this 50. Right here. 50. 50. Actually, that doesn't work. Let's go back, Control Z and Control Z. That's okay. So we want to rotate this 90. This direction, sorry, this direction, 90. I'm going to click the letter D. And then I'm going to rotate it backwards 50. This is actually what I was looking for. Negative 50 looks like. Yeah, negative 50. So let's go ahead and put that there. Oh, let's click D. There, now it's all the way down. Okay, now I'm going to hide this part of the finger by rotating it slightly and into the palm. This is like the palm of the hand. Okay, so before we go on, we need the fingertip, which actually looks a lot like a claw. So let's just go to the basic shapes. And we want this one right here. Obviously super big. Let's change it to green. I'm going to hit shift and drag it down. And I want this to be 1.86, 1.86, enter. And I'm going to drag it up and drag it over here. All right. So the fingertip, well, let's do Control F. The fingertip needs to be right there. Now it's kind of hard to maneuver, so I'm going to make this transparent so you can see it better. And I'm going to look from above, right around there. And now oh, it's not all the way down. Now look carefully, you see how it's tilted a little bit? And I believe it's 1 or 2 degrees. Oh, wow, it's more than that. So it was 7 degrees. I'm going to, with the arrow keys, I think we're good here. Oh, very important to look at the sides. I'm going to change the snap grid to off. Okay, and this side. Okay, so now that is one finger. Let's go ahead and duplicate, Control D, and then move it over, and Control D. Now this one I'm going to move it closer to the hand. This one too. Oops, that one's going to go with there. And now I'm going to select all of them and group them, Control G. All right, so this one is going to be close, but I'm going to move it down right about there. I want the end of this right here, the end of the bone to be, I'm sorry, the arm to be right where the palm begins. So I don't want it to be there, and I don't want it to be all the way there. So I want them to intersect. Okay, so now we have both of these selected, which is this one and this one. And then I want the hand selected. We're going to group them, Control G, and we're going to duplicate, click the letter M. We're going to mirror in that side. And now we're going to hit Shift and drag it over here. All right. Now, the way you can tell where it should be and where it shouldn't be, there's two places. This line right here, it is just past this one going down, whereas this one is not. So I'm going to click on this and then move it over. Oh, did I group the whole thing? I did. My bad. Okay, so this one, I'm going to move it over. And that part's good. Now, I noticed that this part wasn't connected, so I'm going to move that over. And my goal here is to make this move over a little bit. So I'm just moving it over. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to group it all, Control G, and I'm going to move this up here. Now, I want you to notice something. This one, whoa, that looks funny. I want the bottom of this hyperboloid, to be touching just the top of this so that it blends. I don't want there to be any space like there is right now. So I'm going to drag this down. Oh, I dragged the wrong one. This. Drag it down and right about there. And let's look at the behind. Oh, you know what I forgot to do is I forgot to align both of them, because it's going to give me a better design if I align both of them. So I'm going to click L. I'm sorry, I'm going to select this one and then hit Shift and select this one. Click the letter L. I don't want the belly to move, so I'm going to click on the belly. And now align and align. Now, it's not as smooth as I would like it to be, so I'm going to Shift, drag it up a little bit, right about there. All right. All right. Let's move on. Yep. We're good. Now, mind you, you can always change the dimensions of these, because mine does not have to match yours. You're going to make your own. But if you want the general idea, here we go. But here's what we're going to do before we go on. Notice the shoulders are smooth, whereas here they're bumpy. So what I'm going to do is ungroup this, click away, and ungroup that. And now I'm going to group those right there. Control G. And now the shoulders and the upper body should match. There you go. See? Now it looks like it's just one piece. And now stay tuned for part 2.